All right, Hawks, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a couple of details on this multi-view of the blade holder. Okay, I'm not going to talk about how to draw the three sides or the three views. Okay, you're going to see an example of that here shortly. I want to touch on a couple of things that might come up during this. Okay, the first one of which is when we talk about these dimensions, any of these dimensions that have extra zeros, I do not need to see them. So on this 1 inch dimension here, I'm only going to need to see the 1. On this 3 inch dimension over here, I'm only going to need to see the 3. Same thing with the 1 here, and so on. Okay? So that's the first part of our discussion. The second part is, let's move to AutoCAD. So here I have an almost complete solution of this drawing. What I am missing is a center line over here in the right side view, and I'm missing the hidden circle information in the top view. I have one of them, but not both of them. Okay, so first is, let's talk about how to get these center marks in. Again, I'm so old, I used to use the construction layer, an XLine command, and I would project the top, well, let's say once I have the center mark in, I would project the intersection of the top of the circle and the center mark over for the hidden line, the bottom intersection over for hidden line, and the center over for center mark. Then I would trim, okay, and then I would come back and I would select the lines that I want to change and put them on the appropriate layer. Okay, that's what I used to do. Oh, you know what? Let's go back because I didn't finish that. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to get rid of those two because I already had them there. Let's go back and actually trim the center mark. Okay, again, I'm going to try to show you different techniques. You can use what works for you. So now we look at this line, and this is supposed to be a center mark. What is somewhat common is a lot of students will leave the center mark looking just like this. I'm not going to talk about the fact that there is not a dash in the center right now. I'm going to talk about the fact that we never want to have a center mark end on an object line like we have going here. Okay, makes sense with a hidden line because the hole doesn't extend outside of the object. But when it comes to center marks, we typically want to see the end of the center mark sticking out. Okay, pretty sure I've talked about this in a previous video, but the easy way to get that to happen with a line that you've done with projection like I showed in trim is to select the line and grab one of the outside grips, left click on it, drag it the direction you want it to go, and I'm going to type in a distance of 1/8. Okay, 1/8 of an inch, and hit enter. You'll see that that has extended that center mark by the distance that I typed in. Now do the same thing on the other side. Okay, 1/8, and I will have a center mark that is looking closer to what I need to see. Again, I'm not currently seeing the dash in there. Now, again, I think I've talked about that in a previous video, but maybe you want to do something more similar or less involved, like when we put this center mark in. Let's just review that. Under annotate, in fact, let me go back. Make sure I'm on the right layer because I don't want to change it later. Don't want to change the layer later. And if I use the center mark for a circle, and I click on the circle, it will put that center mark in very quickly and easily, right? That's one of the benefits of this software. It does things automatically for us. Well, some of you may have noticed this center line, okay, right next to the center mark, center line. This also is a new feature, at least it's new to me, and if I use that center line mark, it says, hey, well, where do you want to put the center line? And you basically pick the two lines that represent the edges of the hole, in this case. So one hidden line, second hidden line, and you'll see it puts that line in much quicker than if I drew that and trimmed it and then extended. Okay, so again, pick one, make it easy on yourself. Another technique when you have multiple holes, like we should have up here, is to, again, project a center line Okay, so I had to find the location of holes with these two circles. Okay. I projected that information up and I created this hidden circle already. Now I could certainly create everything up here again, but again, there's a technique here where I can be more efficient. So if I simply use the copy command, okay, copy command, and this is the way I usually like to do this. I'm going to select with a window. Okay, so it's a left click, let go, drag it around what you want. So in this case, it's everything for the hidden circle. Select it. I'm going to copy it. Okay, this is the where you have to think about this a little bit. I want that circle to be here. So what's a good reference point that involves the center line, which we already have one of in the existing circle information or the hidden circle information. So I can choose either the intersection point up at the top here or this intersection point here. You have to choose one, doesn't matter which. But if I copy, I'm going to start over. Once I have that selected, I'm going to choose the copy command. I'm going to copy it from an intersection point. Okay, so it's a known reference. If the information I've drawn here is correct, I'm going to copy it from there, and you'll see as I drag that over, I have everything for that hidden circle that I need. I've got two hidden lines and a center line. And all I have to do is reference an intersection point, and now I have that hidden circle information. Okay, so there's no need to draw things twice. If I can copy them, okay, it might be a little bit faster. Again, do what's comfortable for you. Trying to show you a number of different ways to do things. All right, now the important part in this video is going to be a global setting. Okay, maybe you've noticed that there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the software. Some of you may have been using the non-template files that I provided. Again, you won't see all these layers. All you'll see is the 0 layer. You won't see the A size and the B size tab. Down in the left-hand corner, it's going to say like layout 1 or layout 2. So again, this file has been set up to make your lives easier. Feel free to use that file as you see fit. But in this particular setting, the size of the dashes for the center lines and the hidden lines and anything else that's not solid, like our object lines, has a scale. Okay, and the scale that we're going to adjust today, you have to take a look up here at my command prompt. I'm going to type in LT, line type scale. Okay, so you can see LTSCALE here, and that's what I want to select. This is a command that you're just going to see in the command window, so there's no pop-up window. So it says LTSCALE, enter the new line type scale factor. Okay, and the hardest thing that I can convey here is, okay, inside of the alligator brackets, the open, the greater than and less than symbol, we have the current setting, which is 1. Okay, any drawing you do, we may have to play with this LTSCALE. Okay, so if our dashes, either on the hidden lines or the center lines, aren't showing up, okay, that's going to be determined mostly by the size of the object that you're drawing. We may have to change this number. So what I usually like to do is I like to make big changes. Okay, you'll see here what's going to happen on my screen with both the hidden lines and the center lines. So I'm going to type in, and I'm going to go and change this, and I'm just going to move the decimal point. I'm going to make it 10. So not 1, but 10. I'm going to type in 10. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. And you'll see here now the hidden lines have changed to, well, solid lines here, but you can see here on the front view that the dash sizes are now huge. Okay, so that's not what I want. So I'm going to hit enter, go right back into LTSCALE. I'm going to type 1 back in, and you'll see I'll be right back to the settings that I had. So going bigger probably wasn't the answer on this particular model. So now I want to go smaller. Okay, so I'm going to enter again and go back into LTSCALE. And I probably don't want to do 0.1. So let's try like half, right? I'm going to make it half size. So let's try 0.5, right? So half of 1 is 0.5. And if I hit enter, you'll see now that the center mark in our hidden circle is visible. Okay, but you'll also notice that the dashes for the hidden line have also gotten smaller. Okay, so maybe on this particular drawing, 0.5 maybe is a little too small. So let's try in between, right? In between a half and a whole, 1. So let's try 0.75. I'll try 0.75 and hit enter. And I'm still seeing the dash for the center mark, which is what I was looking to do, and the dashes for the hidden lines are not nearly as small. And that's probably a good compromise. If we go back in and try, let's say, 0.85. There I've lost my center mark dash, so I think 0.75 is probably the best LT, line type scale, LT scale setting for this drawing. Okay, you will still need to dimension this object. Let me remind you, we generally want to dimension in this crosshair area, in between the views whenever possible. Okay, pay attention to that. Sometimes you may have to go outside an object to the right or underneath, okay, or on the left sides, or even above. But we want to try to avoid those, okay? So you will need to dimension this, and let's just do a quick review. Eventually you'll need to go to your A size to print this, okay? One of the things when we start playing with LT scale, line type scale, is that sometimes when we go to our sheets to print, maybe sometimes those dashes, those line types don't show up, okay? So in this case they are, but I want to show you again, LT scale kind of goes hand in hand with another command called PSLTSCALE, and that is paper space line type scale, okay? So we usually maybe see, well, I'm sorry, I should say usually, we might see in this paper space layout that some of those dashes aren't showing up. In this case, everything is. More common is I'm going to go to print, okay, and once I specify my printer and I take a look at the preview, a lot of times we might not see these dashes operating or being incorrect until we do a print preview, okay? So there might be instances where maybe the center marks aren't showing up, maybe the hidden lines aren't showing up, okay? First thing to check would be your layers, okay? Make sure they're on the right layer. The second thing is maybe we need to play with our paper space LT scale. So I might cancel out of this print window. And again, we're not going to see the change here, but it's something that I want to make you aware of. We may need to change that paper space line type scale. In order to do that, you're going to go and enter our viewport. Again, that's that green rectangle right here. Okay, you can double left click inside of that rectangle, or down at the bottom where it says paper, and click on where it says paper, and it will activate that viewport. Now it says model. Okay, this is also where we would be setting the scale, and maybe we'll talk about that here shortly as well. So when I'm in that viewport, I'm going to type in PSLTSCALE. Okay, so PS, paper space LT scale, and you can see that here. And if I select that option, you really have only two settings, and it's 1 or 0. So it's currently at 1. We can see that in our command prompt. I'm just going to type in 0 and hit enter. Okay, and again, nothing's changing here, but on your drawing, this might have to happen. At least maybe not this one, but on a future drawing. And now I'm going to do a command called regen. Okay, regen is like regenerate. It's effectively like a refresh. Okay, so again, you might have to do the paper space LT scale and then the regen command, and that's like a refresh. Okay, now that hasn't changed anything on this drawing because we didn't have a problem with that. So I'm going to go back to PSLTSCALE. I'm going to turn it back to 1, and I'll do a regen. Okay, but nothing's changed. Okay, but on some drawings you may have to do that. Okay. The other thing that has come up, we always want to try to show our drawing as large as possible on our paper. Okay, and to highlight this, let's go over here to our B size. Hopefully nobody's been working on the B size. This is a 11 by 17. It's much larger than your A size. It's twice as big. And if I was looking to show this drawing on this piece of paper, the 1:1 scale leaves a lot of extra space, okay? And again, this is going to depend on the object that you're drawing and the size paper you're looking to show things on. Now, some of you may have run into drawings already where, well, that doesn't really kind of work out for me, and at least the 1:1 scale. And you'll see here on the options we have, most of these other options are architectural scales, okay? So we've got like where my cursor is hovering, a 1/16 of an inch equal to 1 foot. So most of these are architectural scales. It is possible you might need to create your own scale, okay? And again, that might be like a 1/2 inch equal to 1 inch, so that'd be a half scale, maybe 3/4 scale, so 3/4 of an inch equal to 1. Maybe in this case, it looks like if I escape out of here and I double click the scroll button, that's doing a zoom to fit, and you can see that we're basically at 1.5. So I might be able to do a 1.5 inch to 1 scale on this particular drawing. So in order to do a custom scale, we're going to go and select custom down here, and you're going to get a pop-up window. And you'll see that we have access to all those common scales. And again, you might be able to select some of these, but that doesn't mean that's what we want to show, okay? Mechanical drawings aren't usually scaled inches to feet. They're shown in inches, in many cases, but not all. So we're going to add a scale. And I'm going to call this 1/2 inch equal to 1 inch, okay? And again, just so we're all aware, I've seen some people in their title block not leaving the equal sign, but a dash. We should have an equal sign there, so the size on the paper is equal to what size in real life. And actually, I'm just thinking here, it's supposed to be 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches equal to 1 inch, okay? And here's where you can get a little confused. The paper units, it's going to be 1.5 equal to 1, okay? So again, up at the top here, typically, this is not shown as a decimal, so not 1.5 equal to 1. It's typically shown in fractions of an inch like we'd read on a ruler. But in the computer here, we can certainly put in 1-1/2, and that should work, but it is 1.5 to 1. I'm going to say OK, and you'll see I've now created a new scale. If I hit OK, I should now be able to go down into my scale option and select a new scale. Okay, you saw that change slightly. Then I would come down to my title block and I would do 1 1/2 inch equal to 1 inch. Apply it, and that's what my scale will end up being on this piece of paper. Again, we want things to show up as large as possible. And look at that, just for an example, maybe hard to see here, but my center lines are no longer showing those dashes, okay? So that might be the chance for me to show you PSLTSCALE in action. So we're going to type that one in, and we're going to go to 0, and we're going to do a REGEN, okay? And now you can see that those dashes are actually visible, okay? So just a few kind of review items and some new stuff. I hope that's helpful, and we'll see you on the next video, Hawks.